And that's pretty much how I spent last night. What's going on, everybody? Back again here. It's Thursday, December 29th, the last show of the year. What's going on, Brian? How are you doing tonight? How's everything going, everyone out there? We're here doing the very last of 2022's Coffee and Cigars live stream. I think we're a little bit tight. Yeah, that's probably better. All right. So we're doing today is we've got cigars and coffee and cigars, as always. And tonight we're doing the, what are we doing? We're doing tonight the Oliva Serie V 135th anniversary. Oh, look, there's Mom. What's going on, Mom? How are you? Welcome to the show. Good to see you again. And we're going to be also talking about espresso. So I guess we should start getting into that way. So let me get the, let me turn this on here. All right, let me get to the espresso part of things, because that's going to be our coffee today. Let me switch cameras, and then we'll be right there. All right, excellent. So I have to switch a couple things in order to make sure that it works. All right, so instead of making, instead of making coffee like we normally do, I thought today we'd make espresso, because I've been thinking a lot about espresso for the competition that happens at the end of next month here in Baltimore. And that's the United States Barista qualifying champion rounds. And a lot of people that compete in these coffee competitions, a lot of the people that I judge around the world, they tend to spend lots and lots of money on really super exquisite coffees. And then inevitably, they're very disappointed when their, 90 plus coffee that they spent exorbitant amounts of money on doesn't win them the championship. And that's for some very basic reasons. A lot of it has to do, especially with the espresso course, whether or not the competitor has been able to tell us, the judges, what we should have expected and what we will experience in the beverage. And that's really the key component to that. And I'm gonna so Mom's here, Tommy's here, the music is freaking him out. Yeah, don't worry, it's there's a function to loop it, but I'm not looping it, I'm just gonna let it run out. And anyway, so what is today's coffee? Today's coffee is a blend of two coffees. It's our basic espresso here at Spro. We call it Espresso 99. And right now it is a blend of two different coffees. One is a wash Guatemala from Puebla Tenango, and then the other one is a natural coffee from Honduras that is from the Comayagua district. And basically these two coffees combined give the flavors of the espresso that I like to enjoy. And so really this is a coffee that we make for Spro that is one that I like. This is what I like for espresso. And I figured, you know what? It's not the crazy celebratory coffees that most of these competitors like to use, but this is a coffee that I like, and one that also that I know pretty darn well because I'm the one that makes it. So we're gonna make a couple drinks, and yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. So first we got our espresso machine. This is what's called a La Valentina espresso machine. This is a machine I've had for about 20 years now. It's my first espresso machine, and it cost about $1,500 back then. It's about the same amount now online. Italian made E61 group head. And why is it called E61? Because Faima in 1961 created this group head. Basically, it's this big piece of brass that is machined out so the brass really holds the heat, and then it is coated in chrome. Now, this particular machine is a single boiler machine, what we call a heat exchanger. And what that means is that There's one boiler that is set to a very high temperature, and that temperature is hot enough to have constant steam. Right? Now, I can have steam and brew at the same time. So if I hit the brew switch, it will do both because of the heat exchange mechanism. And what that basically means is that there's a heated boiler that is the temperature of the steam water, so about 250 degrees, about 1.5 bars of pressure. Then through that boiler is essentially a tube of cold water from the reservoir. And as it runs through the reservoir into the group head, it then exchanges heat and heats the water to the brewing temperature. Now, if the water stays in the boiler, right, the water that's in the tube that's inside the boiler, it will equalize to the pressure and temperature of the water inside the boiler. And that's why you get a lot of like hissing and bubbling when you first start these type of brews. So what you want to do is you want to purge that and pull the couple ounces through, let the temperature stabilize or drop down to the right brew temperature, and then do your shot. So that last one actually got through a lot of it, and yeah. Questions? Okay, good. What's there? No. So what we're using here is a Mazda Major grinder. This is a pretty old school grinder, 83 millimeter burrs, flat burrs, and basically a warhorse battle tank of the business. You know, this is easily 20 some years old. Thousands and thousands of shots have gone through it, and it still rock and rolls. So there's a lot of new grinders out there that are much more fancy, self-dosing and all that kind of stuff. But for training purposes, especially, this is what I like to use because it really gives you the feel of like, really forces you to understand what you're doing. So we're going to grind some coffee and then pull a shot. So what I like to do is I like to use about 21 grams of coffee. And as you see, I just use this method of distribution. There are tools out there like this that you can use that will help you distribute. I think they're kind of, I don't really know. And after what you're trying to do is you're trying to cover all the areas inside the basket with coffee and create even resistance to the water flow. Water under pressure will find the path of least resistance. And if there's uneven resistance, which will create channeling, then it becomes under extract. You get sour tones and very unpleasant flavors. So we don't want that. All right, let me draw this down here. And we're just going to take this, tamp it. Well, that's probably too much coffee. I kind of feel like it's too much. So purge a little bit. Ooh, yeah, that's actually looking pretty good. Let's look at that. Let's look closely at this. So what we've got here is some nice dark crema coming in, which is what I like to see. Ideal for this coffee. Now there's a little bit of, exploitation of the pressure, so there's a little bit of messiness. It's not all one stream. I would like to see one stream. Okay, now we're pretty much done. But I'm looking for, you see how there's a little bit of whiteness here around the brown, right? Oops. There's a whiteness here. Once that starts to come out, that tells us that the shot is finished, right? It tells us that it tells us that the coffee has given everything that it can. So we're going to look at our puck. It's a little bit hard to see, but as you can see, there is nice compaction, you can kind of see the ring from the dispersion screen on the edge here. That's good. When you press down, it's tight and dry. That's excellent. But remember how I said that there's a little bit of whiteness here, a little bit of blonding? That can be evidenced by the amount of, see the residual oils left? If you have residual oils, that can mean one of two things: over extraction or under extraction. In this case, because we know that we've got quite a bit of the blonding, we know that that is over extraction. If we don't have that, then it's under extraction. So let's have a taste. As you can see, the crema is nice and tight. Look at that. That's like professional. That's professional grade there. Oh, sweetness, rich, chocolatey, like dark chocolate, some kind of dark cherry notes. There is a light brightness going on there. Kind of like a bit of a good body. I'd say good medium plus body. Really lingering. Now, I like to have a nuttiness on the finish. I don't particularly taste a nuttiness. I get more of an acidic finish, kind of brightness. All right, all right. Any questions? Oh, Mark's saying, hey, what's up, Mark? E61 group head is significant on that machine. Is it significant? I mean, it's, well, I imagine that, you know, the E61 group head is all about heat retention, right? And I imagine that La Valentina, when they built this machine or designed this machine, that they wanted to have something that would have good heat retention and, you know, deliver good performance. So I think the E61 gives you a lot of that. Now, the problem with E61, and I guess this is true of any of the machines, is that it does have an exposed group head. So if you touch this, it's pretty darn hot. So you don't, yeah, that's hot. If you happen to touch it and stay on it, it will be rather unpleasant. All right, so first of all, this will not be enough for my cigar experience. So what I have to do is I have to make some more coffee. I'm going to rinse this out just a little bit. I'm going to pull more shots. This time we're going to make a milk beverage. Now, to be honest, this milk that I have here, it's a whole milk from just basic whole milk, and I was a little bit worried about it because it said when I bought the milk, I got at the farthest expiration date that I could, and that was December 25th. So I bought this milk like almost 2 weeks ago. And I was kind of concerned, like, oh, am I going to have to run out and buy milk or something? But I smelled it and tasted it. It's fine. All right, we're going to pull this into this mug. I think this mug might be a little bit too big. Now, for some of those of you who talk about, like, you know, dialing in your shots, like you can see this one, it's got nice color, right? And to be honest with you, I did a live stream. Oh, there's a little bit of shooting out here from the naked portafilter, as you can see. So that's not it. Okay, that's enough. And the thing is that I have not adjusted this grind since that time. So I don't know if all these claims that you have to adjust your grind every time is necessarily true. All right, here we're going to steam some milk. So I purge the milk, going deep with the wand, full force. Now, this particular machine doesn't have the steam power that the larger machines that I've used have. So it's a little bit slower. You have to be a little bit more careful with it. Kind of smells like wet dog. Maybe we'll just make it. Maybe I won't drink it. Who knows? All right, so the crema's still here. Look at that crema. Very nice. Can I still do this? Oh, not too bad. All right, so Rosetta Rosetta. All right, there is one drink for me to drink. Shall I taste it? Oh, still sweet. Excellent. Oh, yeah, that actually tastes good. All right, so let's have a look at our puck here. Again, puck. Nice. We're going to have some over extraction, as you can see. One more drink. One of my personal favorites. And that is the 6-ounce Americano. When I was learning how to make coffee in Seattle, this is what I would drink. A little bit of cream, just a little bit of cream in a 6-ounce Americano. That was my jam. So typically whenever I would drink coffee in the shops before, it would always be a 6-ounce Americano. I think that's just the right amount. All right, so let's do it again. Oh, one thing, before we make the Americano, you want to make sure that you have your stuff ready. But more importantly, water first. Oh, that's a bit dirty on the edge. It's not nice. So water first. And then we're going to float. Come on, where are you? We're going to float the espresso on top. Uh-oh. This one probably was the worst shot of them all. The idea behind this is that you're making what is like essentially a big espresso. Right there. Right there is good. Nice. And so that's pretty much it. Look at that. That's pretty. In my world, this is some sexy espresso right there. That's sexy. Oh, yeah, Daddy. All right, so let me bring this back, and then we'll get to the questions that may have come up, and I'm going to switch cameras again. All right. Hang on, let me change. All right. How's that sound? Better? Bringing the drinks over. Excellent. Got to bring the camera over now. Look at that, huh? There we go. We got our overhead cam. Let me just plug it back in. Oh, that's the problem. I don't know what it is with this setup, but this particular machine or this particular cable wants to go wonky whenever I go, overhead. So I have another cable for it. Let's plug that in. There we go. Much better. Move that out of the way. All right, that's better. How you all doing today? What's going on? Let's see. 32 seconds. For me personally, the ideal target extraction for me is 25 to 29 seconds. I just kind of do it by looking. Really, a lot of it has to do with, let me see here. A lot of it has to do with the amount of crema. So basically, if you recall in this shot, it was coming out nice and brown, and then suddenly it started to get a little bit blonde. Right when you get to the blonde, once that starts to happen is when you stop. That's really the coffee telling you, the maker, that it has given you everything it can give. It has given you all the best. You should stop there. And ideally, we want to set our parameters so that that blonding starts to occur between 25 to 29 seconds. Now, it can, if you, depending on how you set your stuff up, it could happen in 15. It could happen at 45. The key is that you stop at that point, because then you will have extracted everything that you could. Prior to that, it should typically be very sour. After that, it starts to get more bitter. So those are the things you want to keep in mind as you're trying to make espresso, that it does have a time correlation, but the time isn't the ultimate arbiter of the shot. Hope it's fresh. Hope so. I hope so. And Buddy says, after you change the chunks out of the milk, should be, yeah, I think it'll be all right. I think, that doesn't look too bad. Huh? How about that? Not too bad. To be honest with you, I haven't actually done this in, I don't know, it's been at least several months. That milk's still sweet. It's commercial milk. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad. Mark says, stirring espresso will be a controversial topic. I think it makes a nicer. One of the things that, like for example, in judging of barista competitions, what we do is we'll take the espresso. Once it's given to us, we will then take our spoon and we will give 3 strokes in this fashion, right? And why we're doing that is to essentially try to homogenize some of the espresso. Now, you can't really homogenize it completely, but it will homogenize it some, and so you'll get a better feel for what the espresso is. Now, what I'm thinking about for the competition is that I have to look at the rules again, but I don't believe that as a judge, you must immediately drink. The competitor can tell the judges to pause and to wait. So what I'm thinking is that, the espresso comes out hot. If I let it cool and then serve it, that might be to my advantage. Now, where it hurts you in that kind of thing is that you have to, for example, you have to serve it. Once you serve the espresso, the judges then take a moment to look, and they're looking to see if there's crema on top. And if there's any of this black that's showing, then it will not count. It will count as a no, and you'll get no points. Now, those points, it's only equivalent to 1 point each. So for 2 judges, you only lose 2 points. Or 4 judges, you lose 4 points. So is it a critical amount of points? I guess that depends on how close it turns out to be. So I'm thinking, but then I don't think that they can show us. I don't think I could show it to the judges, make sure they get the crema points, and then pause, and then come do something else and come back. I don't know how that will work. There's only 10 minutes to do 2 drinks, so. Brian says, this is why I don't prefer the long shot. Or you mean like a longer shot where it really runs blonde, that kind of thing? Yeah, they tend to call those lungos, and it's kind of like making this Americano, but in a little bit of a different way, because you get a lot more of the sour notes and the bitter notes that will come from those longer extractions. Like there's a point where you'll get bitterness, or extra bitterness, and then there's a point where you'll probably get some sourness, because once you've really gone through a lot of volume through that coffee, I mean, if you try that, if you look at it, right, let your machine run, it'll actually start to run really tan, the color of the liquid, and then almost translucent. So, and I've had decent espresso like that. And Rusty's here. What's going on, Rusty? How are you doing? And Mark's on. No, yes. So I am going to compete. I have a slot. I was able to get a slot in the lottery that they were running. I kind of just put my name in because I thought it'd be kind of fun, right? And I have some ideas for a signature beverage that I've been wanting to try for many, many years. But since I'm not really in the USBC, I don't really have the venue to play with that stuff. But I still have the idea, and I think I'm going to work on it whenever I have the time, which may not ever happen because things have been kind of busy lately. And anyway, as we started off this show today, we were last night. I was that kind of friend called me up. He's like, "Hey man, we're going to John Wick's training camp," and we spent most of last night evening with weapons, shooting ridiculous amounts of rounds. I left there, or I went to the bathroom at one point, and my hands were really black because we had so much powder on them. It was kind of ridiculous. Oh, Steven's here. What's going on, Steven? How are you? Getting out early today, 8:30, huh? All right, good to see you. Welcome, welcome. All right, so we got our coffee. It's ready. We got our 3 drinks. I've got 3 drinks here: espresso, Americano, and a cappuccino. And then now it's time for us to choose our cigar. And tonight's cigar is coming out of our humidor. And let's do a little humidity check. As you can see, it's still pliable. Like, it seems actually that there is less sandiness happening in here than last week. Maybe I'm just, I don't know, maybe I'm just talking, but anyway, so today's cigar is this one, the Oliva Series V 135th anniversary. And this is a cigar that, you hear about 135th anniversary and you're like, what? Wow, Oliva's been around for 135 years? No, Oliva's only been around since 1995. This celebrates Gilberto Oliva, which I believe is one of their great-grandfathers. And he is, he started growing cigars, tobacco, in the Pinar del Rio Valley in Cuba. So this celebrates his time doing that 135 years ago, not 135 years of Oliva. But it is a, 6.5 by 52 perfecto with a tapered foot and a nice rounded cap. And it's a pretty cigar. Look at that. It's a pretty cigar. In good shape. Let's look under here. Look at that. The wrapper looks good. So it looks pretty darn nice. Let me let's do some. Actually, let me get my we will need our score sheet for today. My printer is getting all kind of wonky, as printers are wanted to do. I don't know about printers, but you guys, but I feel like toners never last that long. And I may put the dates on. Like, for example, I just replaced the one at the house. And evidently it was from February 2019. So it was pretty good, almost 4 years. Now, here's the thing. I'm smelling this cigar. It's kind of got this light tobacco-ness to it. But I'm also wondering how much of my fingers touching the coffee is transferring aroma to my nose. A little bit of light spiciness. I'm going to cut now. Let's cut this sucker. I'm going to cut you, sucker. Oh, not so pretty. All right, there we go. A little cutting. So not too bad. All right. So how's everyone doing today? Let me know what you're smoking, what you're drinking. Are you inside or outside? I think it might not be too bad to be outside tonight here in Baltimore. Tony said he had that cigar last night, so I should have saved it. You should have saved it. Oh, actually, how would you have known? Because this was not necessarily on tonight's schedule. I was scheduling the Paniola special because we were hoping that George would have been feeling better to come on the show, but he's still feeling under the weather, so we're going to keep pushing that back until he feels better enough, good enough to come in. Tonight, Aganorsa Validation, Habano Toro, and a Diet Cherry Pepsi. Excellent, excellent. I get on the cold draw, I get a little bit of sweetness right here in the center of the tongue. But honestly, I don't get too much else. It's relatively benign. Now, there's a part of me that wonders how much of that is being interrupted because of the stronger coffee, the espresso, And because I'd had a couple sips of the cappuccino, and that milk, that lactose, that milk can coat your palate and obscure maybe some of the taste, the taste sensors. And Brian's having a Robocraft with a lemonade and sitting outside. Oh, that actually sounds very nice. Lemonade. I would like that. Lemonade. That cool, refreshing drink. All right, so I'm going to remove the footband that says 135 from the years that Gilberto Oliva was roaming around Pinar del Rio. Now, this has a really tapered end here. Let me I'll show this here. Tapered end. Oh. I think I need to hold it with my fingers here so it'll focus better. Yeah, there we go. So for that, I'm going to use smaller matches. This is from Robusta and Breyer in Cleveland. All right, let's see if I can light it with just one match. All right, success, I think. Looks like success. Oh, nice smoke production. Nice flavor to start off with. Got to start writing up on the cigar form. Let's have a look at this. So, let's say probably about here on the. Now, fragrance was really low. Cold draw really low. So I would say 7. Like, it wasn't giving us a lot to start out with on the fragrance and cold draw, but the light is really nice. Nice, peppery, spicy, good body, nice smoke production, good draw. Like it's starting off very, very pleasant. Very, very encouraging, I would say. Like I'm interested. I'm interested in the flavor, and I'm interested to see where it's going to go. And as all of you know, we are broadcasting here on YouTube, but live streaming and simulcasting both on the OnoLive and Onocoffee channels, as well as the Onocoffee on YouTube. I mean, on Twitch. So if you're watching any of those, let me know. Especially if you're at Twitch. Let me know if you're at Twitch. I'm interested to know if anybody's watching on Twitch. And Steven's smoking a Romeo Julieta Reserva Real Nicaragua and Mountain Dew outside. Oh, of course you're outside. Just rubbing. How's the weather down there? Is it like 75 or something? Yeah, it is starting off very pleasantly. Like good flavor, nice complexity. I'm interested. So I'm going to have a little bit of sipping of this Americano. The Americano is giving some nice light chocolate notes. Not really heavy on the chocolate. Medium bodied, kind of brightness coming through, like a cherry brightness, not sour cherry, but more like a black cherry. So now what do you guys have planned for the weekend for New Year's Eve? You got to go anywhere? Any parties, anything happening? I've been planning my weekend. Finally, today I started putting it together. I bought as some of you may know, I ended up having one more flight to make for the end of the year. And so I decided to do the last flight at the end of the year. And then when I fly back next year, it will count to the next year instead of, wasting that time. And Steven says 61 overcast. Not bad. Not bad. Sounds good. 61. I think we're like 45 around here. I think. I don't know. So I'm flying out to Chicago, and we'll fly back a couple days later. And I figure that I'm going to stay in Chicago, but I didn't want to stay in Chicago, because, inside cities, they're just a bit of a pain, and I just don't feel like it. So I actually got a hotel room in Schaumburg, which is a suburb west of Chicago O'Hare's airport. So a suburban area. There's it's so suburban, there's a Whole Foods there, that kind of suburbia. And so I found this hotel called Home Two Suites, I think it's called, from Hilton. And as I was looking on the amenities, it's like, okay, free parking, good. What else? Indoor pool, good. And then as I was looking at some of the photos, I think there's a breakfast included, like a breakfast. That's good. Okay, that's good. The breakfast I don't care about, more or less. I don't usually get breakfast at hotels because I don't want to pay for it, because it always costs a lot more than I can get breakfast for around the area. But if it has breakfast included, then that's fine. And then, but what kind of sold me was that there was they had some grills in one of the pictures. I was like, a grill. And when I was in Austin for Weasel Fest, the hotel that I stayed in there's another Hilton property. They had grills and people were using them. And I was like, what? Grills? That's amazing. I'm going to do that. So I was thinking, okay, they got a grill and they've got a sitting area around like a fire pit, one of those gas fire pits with the glass beads in it. So I'm thinking, oh man, worst comes to worst, I'm going to go over to Whole Foods, buy me some meat, some nice meat, a nice steak, take it over to the grill it up, go by the liquor store, buy some champagne or something, and just kind of hang out and have a nice time and just smoke cigar, eat steak, smoke cigars until the new year. So that's kind of my plan. On the other side of it is I did look up in Schaumburg a place called Byron's Cigar Lounge, right? So let me show you here. I will show you. Misa show you. Where is it? Oh, that's not it. What are we looking for? Oh, there it is. All right, this is it. The Byron Cigar Lounge. So this is in Schaumburg. As you can see, this is the Byron, and ORD, the airport, is right here. So it's about a 15-minute drive. And it's right here. See, there's a Whole Foods right across the street from it. Even a Legoland. Oh, a Legoland. I might have to go there. I mean, if I get desperate, I don't want to cook. I mean, I can. There's Maggiano's. Now, this Home Two Suites has their own mini, it's like a studio apartment. So it's kind of got everything you need. Raising Cane's. I might have to go there as well. Anyway, the Byron. Let's have a look here. Show you some photos. So evidently this was a cigar lounge that's been around a while, and then looks like they partnered with Byron Cigars and in some way, and they upped their game a bit. And so as you can see, it's a pretty nice looking space. I mean, this is nice. And then here's one of the humidors. I guess there's the sales area. Back to the lounge. I guess that's somewhere in the front. Maybe I should make it a little bit larger. So it's kind of nice looking, and it's very close by. As you can see, more Byron and Audebay cigars, some Lavazza coffee, some outdoor seating. Again, another angle of the main room. Now, this kind of setup reminds me of a place I went to in countryside Illinois, which is about 40 minutes south from here. A place called the Casa de Monte Cristo. And Casa de Monte Cristo also had a very expansive sales floor area like this one did or does. And look, oh, there's a little bit of bar here. Nice, nice. More seating, crystal ashtrays, another angle of the seating. So I guess it looks like this door goes outside. Some Liga number 9s. Here's all the guys. Looks like maybe they have a good smoke abatement system because there's a bunch of guys and it's not terribly smoky. A little bit of view of the ceiling treatment. Selections of cigars. Oh, that's kind of nice. Little smoking area there. Oh, here's an interesting one. This shows exposed ceiling. I wonder how old this photo is. 2019. Maybe they've done a remodel since that time. Because it doesn't seem... Oh, I guess there is. Maybe not. There is exposure there. So it's pretty good looking. Pretty nice spot. Not too far away. I might go check it out. I don't know if I will. I did call them to ask if they were going to be open on Saturday night. And I was like, oh, so you guys open Saturday night for New Year's? And they're like, oh, yeah, we're open till midnight. And I was like, oh, okay, midnight. Are you guys is there any kind of event? He's like, no events, just a regular evening. I was like, okay, good. That's probably even better. I don't have to pay extra. I can spend my money on some Byrons. So I'm going to go there, head up at I wanted to find a pretty decent hotel to stay in because my plan is kind of to chill on Sunday. Maybe mostly at the hotel, except maybe I'll go out and get something to eat, like for lunch or something. And then Monday morning, I'm actually going to drive to Fort Wayne, Indiana, to go visit a place called Sweetwater Cafe, Sweetwater Music. And there's a big music store there called Sweetwater. And I think I've talked about this on the show in the past. And then then head to another town on Tuesday morning. And then I'm going to try to get the flight back to Baltimore Tuesday evening. Hopefully, we'll see. And Tony says, Steven, I like that Reserva Real Nicaragua. Nice. So this cigar, wow, it's really nice, man. It's got good complexity. A little bit of tropical fruit, a little bit of like a pineapple in this. A really light tropical fruit note. Kind of running in the middle on top of the flavors. Very interesting. Very pleasant. I'm going to try some espresso now. Since the cafe the main cafe has been closed, I really haven't made much espresso over the last year. I've been mostly drinking brewed coffee, and it's nice to have espresso again. Yeah, I mean, looks like it's smoking pretty well. Like, look at that. Nice even burn. Well, a little bit bump there, but smoking very nicely, burning nicely. I was thinking about just driving out to one of the shops there and be like, okay. So I called a friend of mine and said, hey, man, this is what I need to know. I need to know where we're going to hang out Monday morning, and where should I go for meats? Unfortunately, the butcher that he recommends closes at 4:30, so I won't even leave Baltimore till 5:30. So that's not going to happen. And then he's like, okay, go to Whole Foods then. Okay, Whole Foods, be fine. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. And then where to get liquor? And he was like, go to Binny's. I was like, Binny's. All right, Binny's. Binny's looks like one of those like almost like a Bevmo in the West Coast, or Beltway Fine, whatever the way they call it now, whatever they call it now, here in Baltimore. And so hopefully I'm thinking maybe I'll get some champagne for myself. Maybe take it over to the cigar lounge, or not. Who knows? So Steve wants to know, what did we shoot at the range? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Let me pull that up here. Give me a moment to find the files. All right, so the first one of the guns, there was quite a lot of weapons that were available to us that evening and last night. And hold on, let me just move all this stuff around so I can control it better. And so this was a M16. So quite an interesting thing. So the M16, and there was a couple AR-15s. One had a suppressor, and the suppressor one. Oh, no, yeah, is this it? Let's see. So this is an AR that was non-suppressed. This is a normal 14-inch barreled AR-15 with a muzzle brake, and actually quite a nice rifle. But here's the thing. So like, I was really surprised that I have never really shot. I think I have in the past, but it's been a long time since I fired an AR, a 223 5.56 round, and man, it was like I don't know if it's because of the muzzle brake or the length of the barrel, but mother of goodness, it was like even when I was holding the camera behind the range officer, like it was like whoa, like, oh my gosh, man, it was like so much, I don't know, reverb or percussion or concussion, whatever you want to call it, that I was scared. I was kind of shocked. I was like, whoa. And then when I fired the weapons, the ARs, man, it was just the report. The report was so like surprising to me. Like even the muzzle flash, like when you're holding the weapon and the muzzle flash comes out, I mean, it shoots out the way that the brake or whatever it was, it shot it out like this, so it would just kind of cover my vision. So I was like, and it just had this like force of wave, like sound wave that would just hit you. You're like, oh my gosh, man. I didn't realize that these weapons fired like that. Now, there was also, let's see if we can find it, if I can find it here. Now, this one over here is the one that had the suppressor. Now, some of the guys are with us. This is their first time shooting ever. So I was a little bit like, a little bit nervous. I mean, it's hitting my face, even though I'm standing as far back as you see me standing. Oh, so we took off. They took the suppressor off of that one, or at that point. So this one is a Sig. I think it's a Sig 230, or no, yeah. It's one of the small single stack Sigs that are relatively new. All right, let's go to another one. No, that's not interesting. So here's the suppression one. I'm going to knock this out.
So this little paddle here is what charges it. So that sends it forward, right? So I'm locked and loaded. So here, this is the press.
So that report that you're hearing is really a lot of the ricochet and noise downrange rather than actually from the gun. So now you heard the suppressed version sound of it. So as you can see, that it's definitely a different kind of experience with that. And so, King One Kong 2, man, how are you doing? How's life in the United Kingdom? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Yeah, it was it was a good time. It was a good time. We got there probably around, we got there at around 9 and then started shooting probably closer to 9:30, 9:45, or maybe even 10 o'clock. We were there till like 2 in the morning. Like it was pretty epic. Like it was really kind of a free for all. And then some of the other stuff we shot, some of the more interesting things. Let me see if I can find something interesting here. Oh, here's something that might be interesting. This was a Sig 320, I think it is, but a customized one. Oh, darn it. And as you can see, it's got, man, it's just modified, like really, really modified. This is my John Wick. So that is here's something else you might find fun. We also had one of these MP5. Oops. Seems like I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, see, that's why you don't want to have. That's why you don't want to have like amateurs like myself around there. No, we already saw that one. Oh, so we also had AK-47. Oh, she just finished it. Whoops. Oh, this is a Glock with suppressor. Not a P30-0301. I don't, to be honest with you, I don't recall the number of the gun. I thought it was 320. I'm not really well up to date with all of the SIG stuff. And as you can see, if you look closely, he's loading in these red capped rounds, which are subsonic rounds. So when you put subsonic rounds in a suppressed weapon, it will actually reduce there it is. So maximize quiet. Now this is something that he was like, it's really quiet. So I was like, I took off my earring, my ear protection. Now, if you noticed here, the first shot is louder than the rest, right? So once you take the first shot, let me go back. Once you take the first shot, it's louder, and then the rest just simply are quieter.
No, that's the back pressure coming out. That's all you're hearing is back pressure. Wow. Yeah, you don't hear the snap. For example, we took a standard.
All right, let's. So King One says, I should hear the UK, but all we are allowed is semi-auto 22. I guess you mean 22 without the 223. The rest are single shots. Oh, God, yeah, gotcha. Of course. And then Steven says, we were 30 miles out in the desert shooting exploding targets. Oh, nice, dude. ARs, Glock 10s, 9s, 22. Like, I wonder if, like, so for example, when I do remember I did shoot an AR-15 once many years ago in the woods, and I don't remember the report being as dramatic as it was in the range. Like, in the range, it was just like I just felt it. Like, and I just wasn't. I think part of it's also that I was just not used to it because I don't really shoot that weapon. I don't really shoot much at all anymore. But lately, it's been all like skeet shooting. So. It was really quite an interesting time out there, but it was good. We had a good time. So that's kind of what I did last night. And so let's look, we're here. I'd say that we're pretty much through the first, what do you call it? The first third of the cigar. So let's have a look at and do some scoring now. Oops. Oh, darn it. This is just... I tend to make a mess on the desk. All right, so, man, I would say a very good plus for the flavor. And body, I would say kind of a medium plus. And also, I'm going to say very good plus on the body. Like, really nice, really, really very good quality in the body and the flavor. So, yeah. What other stuff can I show you here from that day? Let me see if I can find something interesting. Oh, this might be of interest. See, I don't know what I'm doing. That was probably 15 rounds, just like that. Anything else? Oh, there we go. To be honest with you, I don't really like the idea of going like all out, full rock and roll, or like just to pull it and hold it, because it goes really fast. Plus, you have to to control the rifle more. Plus, the MP5 actually is quite. The muzzle rise on the AR-15 or the M16 is pretty dramatic, right? Like it's got good. To me, it had good recoil effect, right? Like it wasn't too difficult to recoil, but it did have a little bit more muzzle rise, so you have to control that. The MP5, it does have some muzzle rise, but not as dramatic. Well, I guess because it doesn't have as powerful a cartridge behind it, so that makes sense. So Brian wants to know what makes the target explode, Steve. I'm presuming that the bullet makes the target explode. Oh, is it gunpowder? Oh, it's black powder target. There, black powder targets. Gotcha. Next will be the 4570 Henry Lever. Oh, I don't even know what that is, but it sounds like one of those old Western style guns, right? Maybe? I don't know. Like I haven't really kept up with gun technology or what's going on, and these guys had all kinds of like nice weapons, like modern weapons, and I was like, whoa, I would just like to get a shotgun for trap shooting would be nice. But the best bit of it all was that it was a catered event, meaning that the ammunition was catered. So that was truly a beautiful event, beautiful time. I'm going to take off the band because actually I'm surprised we're really kind of gotten through a lot of this cigar already. Like, look at this thing. Like we've gone through the first third. It feels like we're plowing through the second third. And we're only like an hour into the show. It's like, oh my goodness, I don't know what we're going to do. Like, so if you guys have any, if you guys imagine that, some of you guys, obviously Steve is, but are into, guns. Like, do you have a particularly favorite weapon? What would be your weapon of choice? Speaking of weapons on YouTube, I don't know if you know, I've heard of a guy called The Collector. There's a guy on YouTube. He's got a channel called The Collector, and let me see if I can find it here. And he's got quite, like, I don't know. Like if I own guns, I don't know if I would want to like let people know that. It doesn't seem to be a good thing to do. Let me find it here. Here it is, The Collector. This guy, he has got some crazy looking videos. Like every week or every month he's buying guns. And like if you look at these thumbnails, these are his guns, and like this is his collection. Like look at this thing. The second $250,000 collection gun room. Like that is just, I'm gonna silence that, but look at this collection. I just wonder, like, why would you want this much? More importantly, how do you secure all of this? That's what I'd be most concerned about. I don't even know what 10% of these guns are. Like that. Is that a shotgun? What is that? Looks like a shotgun. Looks like something straight out of, what is it called? The Living Dead? Walking Dead. I mean, just some crazy, crazy stuff. But one of the coolest things that I did think that he had was this, the John Wick safe. Evidently, this is a $100,000 safe filled with guns that are somehow, it's got the couch, it's kind of homage to the Continental and John Wick. Tony says his favorite weapon is the HK Mark 23, which sadly he does not own. He's thought about the HK P30L, but don't shoot the ones I own. Like P30L, what is that one? I'm not familiar with that. HK E30. Oh, this one. Oh, that is a pretty dope looking gun. Oh, this is John Wick's pistol. Let's have a look. The John Wick. Wow, man, that looks pretty dope. How much is something like this, Tony? But I think if you buy it, I think to really have the John Wick flavor, I think you need two. Doesn't he carry two in the movie? $800. So $1,600 plus whatever kind of trigger work you want to have done. Oh, that looks pretty awesome. What was the other one you said? The HK Mark 23. HK MK23. That's the SOCOM pistol. Okay. I remember that. That's a big one. That's the 45. Look at that. That's crazy. How much is that worth nowadays? Probably some pretty heavy duty money. Now, I think my buddy had the SIG 320 is what it's called. Yeah, but the one that he had that you saw in the video, he had all this work done to it. But it was work done by the factory. So that kind of holographic, so not holographic, but like LED or laser, those are laser sights, I think they called them. So much for me to catch up on as far as those things. $2,500 if you can find one. Oof, my goodness. Interestingly, they were telling me that Sig Sauer, which is a German manufacturer, has moved all their operations to the United States, and they now manufacture all their weapons in the United States, or at least the ones that are sold here. And if you can get West German made Sig Sauers from like the 90s and 80s, evidently they're worth a lot more. So my buddy had this kind of like, I don't know, scalloping done to it with like gold, like colored barrel, gold colored trigger. Like it was pretty cool. Can't imagine how much it cost. But that was the one in the video that I showed you that had the more like cool looking. I was like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. But yeah, that's pretty much weapons. And I don't know, maybe we should do an outing one time for like skeet shooting or something. You know what? I'm wondering, how is this cappuccino doing? Let's see. As you can see, the milk is breaking. Flavor is really sweet. Like the milk is really sweet. That's the thing about steaming of the milk. If you do the milk steaming correctly, it actually will enhance the sweetness. It converts some of the compounds to make them sweeter when you heat it to the right temperature. So if you do a real nice job, you can make a really pretty drink. Tony says, I should have bought the 23 for $1,200 when I bought my USP back. Oh, yeah. That would have been a good time, especially if it's $2,500 now. But you can find one now. Ostensibly, it'll keep rising in price, I guess. Now, actually, somebody said something here. Oh, yeah, King One said, great, I could catch a live for you. I was looking at getting one of those cigars, but the blend seems the same. I mean, I wanted to address this back then, but here's something, King, is that I like, for example, Brian likes the Oliva V Lanceros, but he finds that it's only certain of the Lanceros of the Series V that he really likes. So he'll find some that he says he finds, he really likes the flavor, so he'll buy them. But then he'll have other production runs where the flavor isn't the same. So I don't know. Like, I don't smoke a lot of Series Vs. I don't smoke a lot of Oliva cigars normally. But this one, man, it's really, really good. Like, I'm really surprised how much I'm enjoying this. I think at the very least, it would be worth at least getting one to try for yourself to see how it is for you. So based on what Brian has told me over the years with his series, his Lanceros, it could be one of those things where, over in the regular production runs, different years, different blends, different tobaccos, may not be, 100% equal to previous years. So I don't know, but this one evidently is, a one-off for now. And I imagine that all of these should be relatively the same that are from this production run. So it should be, I think it's worthwhile to check it out. Well, worthwhile to check it out and give it a try. Tony said that size doesn't make a completely different smoke. Yes, I would agree with you on that. Like, it's got a nice thickness to it. I think it's 54? Yeah, 54 perfecto with a normal parejo cap and the tapered foot. And Tony says probably more professional. Yeah, you're probably right with that. Absolutely. So, I mean, they do say this is a limited edition cigar. So, and with only 15,000 boxes of 12 cigars each. And, they say the MSRP is $10. I don't remember how much I got it from Raul's for, but probably around that price, maybe 11. But it is quite a nice smoke so far. So made at the Tabacalera Oliva de Nicaragua in Esteli with a Ecuadorian Habano sun-grown wrapper, and then Nicaraguan blinder and fillers. And what else? It just came out. Well, it came out a year ago, it looks like. Let's see what Developing Palates has to say about this one. I do like the way that these guys do their reviews. So let's see here. John McTavish, this guy here. This guy, I met him when we were hanging out down at the Weasel Fest. So let's see what John has to say. So the first third opened with mild wood, baking spices, and baking spices combining with earth in the post-draw. Some sweetness is present on the retrohale after a couple puffs. Not long after, mild bread comes through with retrohale under some spicy woods. Moving towards the halfway point, some mild dry wood joins the post-draw. I would say that's probably a great way to describe what I've tasted in this. The spiciness is not the typical black pepper, heavy forwardness that you get from a lot of Nicaraguan cigars. It does have more of a light spiciness. I think probably wood and the baking spices are probably a great way to describe that. And then what did they get for their second? John got some mild sweetness, baking spices, wood bread. Post-draw takes some astringency. I have not had any astringency yet. Wood is medium strength halfway through. Second third are pleasant, fairly pleasant. And then what did they come up with their... They have their burn. Burn was flawless. Yeah, the burn has done very well. Ash held up to 2 inches. The draw, mild amount of resistance. I did not have anything that I would say is resistant to the point of it being like noticeable or like negative to detract from the experience so far. So he's saying that he has some interesting layered flavors in the first third. Total smoking at 1 hour 42 minutes. Good. Average, amazing. Average, huh? 5.95. Interesting. What is their... I forgot how their scoring system worked. 5.95 and 6s. A 10-point scale. Oh, wow, that's pretty hard. And then Brian says, I don't recall who I met, but I was discussing the risk of aging cigars and passing their prime. I've only had it happen once, and this guy had it happen with the same cigar, the Oliva Master Blend 2. Here's what my thought on it. And then Brian says the Master Blend went flat. My thought on that is that, I have had the opportunity to do long-term aging. Now we're talking like 20 plus years with some of the cigars. And when I first started keeping cigars, it was back in the mid-90s. And so the big cigar then were like cigars from Arturo Fuente and a lot of the regular line stuff, the green line stuff. And so I've got Chateau Fuentes, double Chateau Fuentes, as well as their selection number ones and Churchills. And I remember I smoked them when I got them. And then I do remember distinctly one point where I tried one cigar of those green labels. And I remember smoking it. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm think I'm in trouble, because it had really gone flat. It had really kind of fallen into this like low point. And I was like, oh man, I have aged them to the point that they have just basically gone kaput. So, I was thinking, okay, I better smoke them all. But I'm not like that. I don't tend to smoke the ones that I have for some strange reason. Like, mainly because, like, let's say you take a box, or let's say you have a box of 20 cigars, and you put that down for a year. You come back to it. You smoke one. Now, ideally, if you like that cigar, you should probably buy a box every year so that as you deplete, you can continue to age. Well, I never did that. And so some of them would be like, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 15 years old. I tried them and they were flat. I was like, oh, this is a waste. What a waste of money and time. So with some of them, I just kind of didn't bother with them again. Came back to them several years later. Could be 2, could be 5. I don't know. I didn't really pay that close attention to that because, once I got to the point, I was like, oh, it's fallow. And I was like, oh, forget it. Came back to them years later, and that same cigar that had been fallow was now lively. And so, in talking with George Brightman about this, evidently maybe cigars will go through points of height and fallow. So if you're aging these cigars and they're at a low point, perhaps the thing is to just wait and see maybe in a year or two if it has started to rebound. That could be a strategy to not disappoint yourself. Tony says, I agree with the peaks and valleys theory because the original master release blend that my rep gave me a few weeks back was awesome. So there, I think there's something to be said about the peaks and valleys. Now, I don't think there's too many people that are to this extreme where you're keeping cigars for many, many years, but if you are experiencing a valley, a trough in the flavor, maybe just wait. Why struggle and smoke your way through a box of cigars that you're not enjoying when you have other cigars you can enjoy right now, and then come back to that later? Maybe even if you smoke once a year, that box, you got 10 years worth of cigars once a year, and you can smoke other stuff otherwise. And Brian says that his experience is that many cigars have great and less than great cigars. Yeah, well, that's true. A lot of companies will have some that are really, really good and some that are maybe not so great. Like this one is actually really, really good so far. Like I would say very good. I don't quite like how I don't think I'm enjoying having the cappuccino with the cigar. Like, I think that heavier milk just kind of interferes with the cleanliness of the palate. I think I prefer like maybe the more clean notes from the Americano. And Brian says the OMB2 had no taste. Hard for me to be. Yeah, I get that. I get that. Like, and I tell you, when I had those Fuentes that were in the trough, man, I was really kind of bummed out. I was really like, oh man, I have wasted all my time on this. But again, when I came back to it later, it was very enjoyable. So, if you have other cigars to smoke those in the meantime. And it doesn't really change your position if you hold on to those cigars that are disappointing now to see if they may or may not be disappointing in the future. Oh, come on. This is just... So that just fell off. So I'm not getting this, like John McTavish said that he's getting 2 inches out of his ash. I'm not getting the 2 inches. That was like half an inch before it fell. I'm going to say we're getting close to the end of that second third. Whew. My palate is feeling a little bit on the dry side at the moment. So I said it was the first 2 inches. Oh, I guess the first 2 inches. The first 2 inches were good. These later inches, not so good. The first 2 inches are always the most important. So for my trip, I decided that I was looking at the weather, and the weather's going to be like 45 or 50 degrees and rainy for I guess, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So I was trying to decide what car to rent. Like they had the mystery car, which, they give you whatever they have. But it wasn't cheaper than the cheapest car, which was like $130 for the cheapest car. And the cheapest car was like, a Corolla or something like that, or a Fiesta. And I was like, I don't want to spend more than a Fiesta to get a Fiesta at the end of the day. But they did have the choice of like a Camry or similar, like a full-size car, or smaller truck, like a Tacoma. And I was like, you know what? If it's going to rain and I got to drive 3 hours to Fort Wayne, maybe the truck is probably the better way to go. So I ended up renting a truck, reserving a truck. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Now, that last puff here had a little bit of heat. A little bit of heat on the tongue. Maybe it's just because I'm pulling on a little bit fast. Maybe I should slow down. Now, one of the things about taking a 3-hour road trip is that usually when I take longer road trips, I usually like to enjoy a cigar or two along the way. And that's true even when I have a rental car. I know they say you shouldn't be smoking. They say don't smoke in the car, but usually a lot of times we will. I've kind of worked out how to make it work. You roll down the windows, get it going, let air out well. Usually, like, don't smoke the day before you return it, and then you should be fine. So I was watching, I don't know if you guys have been watching much shows lately, but we just started watching a show called Treason on Netflix, and we watched the first 2 episodes, and they were really good. So Olga Kurylenko, which is the woman from one of the James Bond movies, she's the Ukrainian girl who portrayed a Bolivian woman in the one that Daniel Craig was in Bolivar. And that was really that's a really good series. I watched the first 2 episodes and I was like, oh man, I need to watch it. And then it turns out there's only 5 episodes. So it's really easy to get through. So I saw the 3rd episode and I'm going to be checking out the last 2 episodes at some point. And then I heard recently that Jack Ryan, the series, has come back for the 3rd season. And I was like, oh man, I haven't even seen the 2nd season. So I looked it up. I watched the first 2 episodes so far, and they were in Venezuela. And they had an ambush again, like in the movie, but not as dramatic as the one with Harrison Ford was in. But it was good. It was good. So far, so good. I did finally get to see the ending of Andor. I don't know. It's good, but I don't know. Where are we going with Andor? Like, how does Calrissian Andor become Captain Calrissian? Is it Calrissian or whatever his name is? Cassian. How does he become Captain Cassian? I guess we'll find that out in the 2nd series. Then I was led astray by the BBC. I thought I had heard that they did a Christmas episode this year for Doctor Who. So I looked up whatever was out there, and I was watching. I was like, oh, this is not the Christmas episode. Evidently, the Christmas episode, the next episode of Doctor Who, will not come out until Christmas 2023. And then I think they said the next episode I thought would be Christmas 2024. And I was like, what in the world is going on with the BBC? How many years has it been since we've had a Doctor Who episode? I'm not very pleased at the moment with the BBC because of that. Oof. 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 I always want the smoke to lift faster. So what else is going on? What else is going on out there with you guys? Anything interesting? Let me know in the comments. Been watching anything good? Anything I should check out? I think you guys said something last week, and I've totally forgotten what it was, and now I can't remember. But I don't know about you, but I really haven't had much time this week to do much watching. Like sometimes when I'm working here, I'll watch a little bit of like the Jack Ryan, like 10 minutes of Jack Ryan's episode while I have lunch. And then another 15 minutes when I have dinner. And that's pretty much it. So I'm kind of like, it's very slow progress for me. So last week I might have mentioned this last week or not, but one of my buddies on YouTube, he runs a channel called Sound Speeds. He's a production boom operator in motion pictures, who's now based in South Carolina. And he was based in Atlanta. And so last year, every year he does an epic live stream, and this epic live stream starts tomorrow, December 30th at noon, and it will probably run a good 15 hours. And what he does is for his live stream, he brings on a lot of other people that work in the field of sound for film, video, and production, and they talk about sound issues and like what's going on, and it's really, if you're into that kind of thing, it's really quite interesting. Like it's well worth watching a good chunk of it. And so last year, I know I mentioned this, but last year he did a video where he was burning a hated microphone, like a microphone that he hated. What was it called? It was called the Yeti Blue, and he burned that. And I was like, dude, next year, let me burn it for you. I'll shoot it. We'll burn it with extreme prejudice. And he did it last year with the mic. He put it on like a charcoal grill. He put some charcoal, lit it, and it smoldered for like an hour. So it probably took a good half an hour to 45 minutes for it to burn. So we actually did the burn last week and shot it, and And I think that at the end of the day, the burn for the microphone burn was actually 6 minutes, probably at the most. I actually haven't sat down to time it. And so we did 2 different angles and a secondary soundtrack that actually had the microphone connected to the recorder so that we could hear the capsule collapse and hopefully destroy itself. And we did a really, really significant job on burning this thing. And his comments were like, he was like, oh man, you really cooked that. I was like, yeah, that was really the idea. But the video itself is, I think, about a half an hour long. So the video itself covers from like the lighting of the fire, us increasing the fire, and then we put the microphone on, and then it burns, and then it kind of burns down. And so that'll be a companion video on tomorrow's live stream. So I'll try to put a link there tomorrow on the description here so you can see it if you're interested. And it's just kind of a little fun thing. And turns out that each of the camera files were 15 gigs. So we have 30 gigs of files to transmit to him. And I was like, man, we were trying to do all this like, Dropbox and Google Drive. And honestly, I need to talk to some of the guys that I know that work in post-production in Hollywood, because man, this is not an efficient way to do it. So those kind of crapped out because there just wasn't enough space to send the raw file to him. So finally what I did is I took the raw files and I uploaded them to this channel, to YouTube. And I told him, hey man, I'm uploading to YouTube. And once they're uploaded, they'll be in 1080 so you can download it yourself and then edit it together as you need to. And man, the encoding took forever. Like it took probably a good 8 hours just to upload the files to the YouTube server. And then it took another probably another 8 hours for YouTube to fully encode it. So when you upload a video to YouTube, you upload the video and then YouTube will then encode the video so that it can stream it. And usually the videos, the videos that we put up, we actually change the formatting. So there's a bit of heavy compression on it. So we use this thing called H.264 compression, which is fairly heavy compression, but still with good video result. There's a newer version called H.265, which compresses it even more. The signal's a little bit, you could see a little bit degradation, but it's still decent. Like if I download something, I try to download in H.265, but we encode in H.264. But this was actually the raw file, right? The AVC HD format, which is much larger. So 15 gigs. And man, it just takes a long time, dude. It takes a long time. All right, so I'm definitely saying we're through the second third. So let's go have a look at I think we've had relatively good consistency here. So I'm going to say 8.5, 8.5. Body's still about the same. So cigar's still smoking very good. No complaints. We did have that little bit of heat that came on a few moments ago, but that heat really only was for that one moment. It did not continue on after that. So speaking of videos, I've got another video coming out this weekend on the 2nd of January that previews a new product that has not yet been released. It will actually be released on Saturday, so I thought I'd give you a little preview. This is the Terra Sweet and Smoky Barbecue Chip. So basically, these Terra chips, these taro parsnip, what else? Taro parsnip, batata, sweet potato, and ruby dipped vegetables are coated with this sweet and smoky barbecue. And I did a little quick tasting review video that comes out January 2nd. And yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good stuff. It smells nice. It's not too heavy with the the barbecue flavoring. Good crunch, nice quality. But it is something that's going to be exclusive to Sam's Club, so you'll have to go to Sam's Club to try it. And since I don't have a Sam's Club membership, I probably will never have a chance to taste it again. I go to Costco mainly, and speaking of chips, right? So Costco, the other month, like maybe 2 months ago, when I was at Costco, I was in the mood for some chips again, right? So I saw this bag of chips. Like if you go to the store, right? Like say, for example, today I was at the grocery store getting my fourth vaccination, and I saw this bag of Andy Capp's cheddar fries. And I was like, ooh, cheddar fries. Maybe I should get one of those. And I was looking at it. I'm debating. Am I going to buy it? Am I going to buy it? I'm going to buy it. No, I'm not going to buy it. Because why I'm not going to buy it? It's $5. And I was like, you know what? $5 seems a lot of money for chips. Which, going back to Costco, my last trip to Costco 2 months ago, they had this bag, this multi-grain tortilla chips. And I was like, oh, that looks pretty good. 12.8 ounces for like $4.50. So I bought it, and I was like, oh, it's good. It's got this nice, it's got sesame seeds and flax seeds and quinoa. So it's kind of healthy, right? It's a pretty sturdy chip. Now, mind you, I bought this 2 months ago. Like, this is a lot of chips, man. Like, this is too much. Like, I can't. How about give me like four, how about $2-3 for a normal bag of chips that I can eat in like, a week? Not this 2 month supply of chips. Oh, Young Ma here's here. What's going on, Young Ma? Good to see you. Welcome back to the show. How you doing? Any plans for the weekend for New Year's? And Brian says, Letterkenny came out with a new season. Not disappointing. Oh, Letterkenny. I've not seen that one. I'll have to look for that. And Tony says, Andy Cap hot fries. Oh, yeah, the hot fries are good, man. Good. Here's something. So we eat Andy Caps, right? Or eat Doritos. And sometimes even Fritos, right? Like, you get that coating on your fingers, right? It gets all like thick, especially the Doritos or Cheetos. But these Terra chips, I ate like half the bag in like, well, maybe a quarter of the bag. And there was not really much residue, which I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And Youngma also likes the hot fries. Excellent, excellent. And George is with us finally. Happy days, holidays all. Late to the party. I don't have a schedule this week. Just enjoying life and taking invitations for dinner and libations as they come. Yes, that's a good thing. Yeah, so like tomorrow I've got lunch with one of my oldest and dearest friends. Like I've known her I've known her probably the longest in my entire life. We really grew up together. In many respects, she's essentially my sister in many respects. But she's like, hey, let's go out to eat. So we're gonna go out someplace tomorrow in Catonsville. And then yesterday went out with some friends to a place locally here called Vito's Cafe. Italian restaurant, probably one of the better Italian restaurants in Baltimore. Definitely one of the better restaurants near the roastery where I kind of hang out. And I had this basically it was a squidding tagliatelle, and it had a light marinara sauce with some squid. Really wonderful stuff. They make wonderful, wonderful food, Italian type dishes. I usually get the bolognese there, but lately, sometimes I'm hesitant to go to places and order certain dishes like the bolognese, mainly because I can make a really killer bolognese that I really enjoy. So it's like, as much as I know that I enjoy theirs, do I want to go out and buy bolognese when I can make it myself? Let me buy something that I don't normally want to make for myself, like squidding pasta. Like, do I want to make squidding pasta? Then I have to go buy squidding. Then I have to go find the right 00 flour, the Caputo, right? Sometimes I just don't feel like doing that. Brian says, Letterkenny has an episode just on chips, regular, plain versus dressed. Huh. Did they have any conclusions about what they preferred? And George says he ate at Vito the night he graduated high school back in 1997. Wow, you went all the way from St. Joe's to Vito's? That's a long drive. Worth it, though, worth it. High school in 97. I graduated high school 10 years earlier than that. Where did I go for high school? Oh, actually, I didn't go to my graduation, so I didn't go anywhere that night for eating. Brian says, Vito's is a good meal. Man, so Brian, you said you went to, because Brian was supposed to join us, and then he like messaged me. He's like, I'm at Vito's Pizza. Where is this Vito's Pizza? Like, I don't believe that I've heard of this Vito's Pizza. Oh, is that the one that's closer to Barry's house? If that's the one that I'm thinking, that is kind of far away. Yeah, my friend, she messaged me, she said, let's go to this diner. And I was like, perhaps we can go to some other place that may be a little bit nicer. I don't really want to drive down to Catonsville to go to a diner. Like, that's a half an hour drive to go to a diner. I don't know. I did drive a half an hour down the city the other day because I was like, I told my nieces, hey, let me take you to, let's go get some pancakes. Because I've been looking for the pancakes that I like. And so far, I found that IHOP does pancakes that I like. But I wanted to go check out the original Pancake House, and they have one down in Baltimore City. Drove all the way down to Baltimore City into Canton, where this area downtown, at the Can Company facility. We go there, we get there, and we notice that there's nobody in the dining room. Like, what is going on there? As we're walking up to it, there's nobody inside. It's like, what's going on here? Are they closed? This is back on like Tuesday. We get there, and they have a sign outside. Carry out only. And I was like, I am not, it's cold. I am not going to go carry out and eat in the car. Heck no. So I'll go find someplace else. So let's go to Warner's down, like really downtown the city. Drove over to Warner's, which I really enjoy. It's one of those classic Baltimore, like, eateries. It's actually been in a number of TV shows that they've shot here. We get there, and unfortunately, they're closed for the week. So I'm like, oh. So we ended up going to the new location, or the second location of a company called Blue Moon Cafe. And Blue Moon Cafe isn't really popular in Baltimore with both locals and tourists for their signature dish is this thing called Captain Crunch French Toast, where they take French toast, real thick French toast, they coat it with the batter, and they coat it with crushed Captain Crunch, and they fry it or whatever they do to it. And they serve it with whipped cream and fruit and all this stuff. And that kind of thing is just too much production for me. So we get to this place in Federal Hill. We probably waited 20 minutes. No, not too long. Sit down. And the pancakes were good, but I don't really like pancakes that are really cakey. I like them to be a lot more springy and thin and kind of chewy, but also kind of like maybe a little more falling apart. So it was good, but it was okay. The coffee was not very good. Brian says, Canadians get a mixed bag that includes all varieties of dill. Oh, wow. They all agreed that was the bag to buy. Oh, nice. Oh, so Letterkenny is a Canadian show. Gotcha. And then Rusty says, Warner's, was that the diner by the shitty hotel that Amy and I stayed at when you met? Yes, that is exactly the one. I remember you ordered just one pancake. Do you remember what I said about the pancake? Because, that time has passed, and now I can't remember whether I really liked it or not. But I did like the pancake that I had at the original Pancake House in Hawaii. I remember thinking, this is really the one that I like. So that's why I wanted to go to original Pancake House again. Blue Moon has good cinnamon rolls. Oh, we had that too. Very, very like doughy kind of cinnamon rolls. There's a bakery locally here in Cockeysville called Bethany's, and they make their cinnamon rolls using laminated dough, basically the same dough that you use to make croissants. And I think, to me, that's really like one of the best I've ever had. So I didn't quite enjoy the Blue Moon's cinnamon rolls as much as I enjoyed the ones here. So, but it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I said it was okay. Okay. Then I won't have to worry about going back there. There was a place here in Baltimore called Johnny's in Roland Park. Now, years ago, there was a chef there that was from Guam, and she made these pancakes there that I thought were the best in this city. Like I would go there for the pancakes. That was it. We'd drive the pancakes, maybe a couple pieces of bacon. And the nice thing is that one of my baristas had left Spro and gone to work for Johnny's and did their coffee program there. So the coffee was really good. So man, to have pancakes that I really enjoyed with coffee that was very enjoyable, that was like the dream. Now you go to a lot of places in these cafes or these whatever places will have pancakes. Maybe they're good or maybe they're not good, but typically the coffee is terrible, which is always disappointing. Like I went to one place and I was like, oh, when I was at IHOP, I was like, man, if only I could transport these back. And the IHOP is only like 2 miles from the roastery. And I was like, if only I could transport this back to the roastery and keep it all in perfect condition so that I can make the coffee and have it all together. Maybe what I'll do one day is I'll make the coffee, put it into a thermal, run down there, buy it, run it back, and then eat it here. That might work. Maybe that'll work. I don't know. It's one of the things where when I have pancakes, I want to have the coffee with it because I like the combination of the coffee and pancakes, even if I have to doctor the coffee with cream and sugar to make it palatable. You know, I think it's much more enjoyable than doing it with like Diet Coke or water or even orange juice. Brian says, I keep saying this, add powdered English custard mix. Yes, I heard you. I have to go and actually go out and buy some of that stuff. But also, you know, the other side of it is that, you know, I want to make pancakes. Like I want to have pancakes, right? Do I want to go through the trouble of mixing batter just so I can have 3 pancakes? That's always the kind of battle. Plus, if you cook it on a plancha or like on a griddle, I think the results are always better than if you try to make it in a pan. Like I've had good results in a crepe pan, but regular like cast iron skillets, like you really have to modulate the heat because you want it to be hot, but you don't want to be too hot. And typically when you make stuff at home, a lot of times you make it in a pan, it gets too hot. I don't know. Speaking of cooking, I was telling you last week about the technique I was using for steak that I just heard about called the cold sear, where you take the steak cold or, you know, whatever, and you put it in a cold pan, and then you put the pan on the high heat, 2 minutes, flip, 2 minutes, flip again, turn the heat down to like medium low, cook 2 more minutes, 2 more minutes, 2 more minutes, 2 more minutes until you get to about 120 degrees and then stop. That has been working pretty darn well. I'm really, really surprised how well that's working. I made a burger today and I tried it that way. Took the burger patty they had when I was at the grocery store looking at those Andy Capp's cheddar fries. I went to the meat section after that, and I was like, "Ooh, what do they have in discount meats?" Because I always like to buy the discount meats. So at my local grocery store, every morning they look for what's about to expire and they mark it down by half. So you get really good deals. So I got this 4-pack of pre-made burgers for like $3.50. I was like, oh, $3.50. All right, I'll buy that. So I tried that. Yeah, this is working out pretty well, this cold sear. Now, this time with the burger, I was thinking it looked kind of lean, so let me put a pat of butter to cook it in to give that fat. But after it started cooking, I realized that probably I didn't need that. There was still enough fat in the burger that I probably could have just gone ahead and not added additional fat to cook it in. So it's just threatening to go out right there. You know, we're getting closer to the end. So all this talking, it's kind of like dying out. I don't know. Have you guys had any good meals this past week? I know, George, you say that you've been waiting, open to invitations to go out. Have you been anywhere that's been good? for Christmas, I decided to make a rib roast. Well, actually, it wasn't a rib roast. It was more of a prime. It was a ribeye roast because it was basically a 4-bone prime rib, but they had cut out the bone. I was like, why did you cut out the bone? Like, leave the bone in, right? It was a Costco or Sam's Club. My mom picked it up. When they called me, they're like, well, what are we going to cook? And I was like, what do you want to cook? I said, well, buy the cheapest cut. And then they were like, well, they have top round for pretty cheap. And I was like, okay, buy the top round. Then after I hung up, and I was like, do I really want the top round instead of the ribeye? Anyway, my mom decided to go with the ribeye. So big old 8.5-pound ribeye roast. So what that is basically the 4 ribs, but they cut the ribs out. So it's just the ribeye with the center and then the spinalis around it. And that would just kind of, I was trying to think about what's the best way to do it. So I turned to Hugh Fernsey Whittinghall, and I've got his meat book. So I was reading through his meat book to see about, what is this English guy doing about roasting? And basically, we take the ribeye, since it's 8.5 pounds, 450 degrees for 40 minutes. Give that nice crustiness, and then reduce the heat down to 325, and then bake it off until you get to about 120. Pull it, and man, oh, beautiful, crusty, a little bit of crispiness to it, and then nice pink in the center. Did some roasted potatoes with that, and basically the roast potato that I like to use is that I'll typically take the potatoes, cut them at strange angles, right, to get more surface area and a little bit more texture. And then if I have, like, these were small, like little potatoes about this big, so I kind of like tried to cut them into quarters or thirds. But if I have bigger potatoes, then I'll take them, slice about halfway through, and then tear it, so that tearing action gives you more jaggedy edges, right? That jaggedy surfaces. And then all that goes into a pot of water, a little bit of salt, maybe a teaspoon of or so of baking powder, in order to increase the alkalinity of the water. And that really kind of helps to give texture to the potato. And so you boil it to the point where the potato is just about to fall apart. Like, when you boil potatoes to become mashed potatoes, you boil it really, really hard, and then like it just kind of smushes down, and then you kind of make it into the paste that makes the mashed potato. You bring it right to the edge of that. Then you pull it, drain it, put it back in the pan, slosh it around a bit. And what you're doing is you're taking the heat of the pan to kind of dry off the surface area of the potatoes. A little amount of olive oil. Throw in a roasting pan, spread it out, 450 degrees, shake it around, move it around, keep 450 roasting it until it crisps. Man, salt, beautiful, beautiful. So those two together, oh, very nice, very nice. George said, prime rib at my mom's house is also with mac and cheese and green beans. Oh, cooked with ham, beautiful, beautiful. Spot on. We had ham too, but concentrated. Yeah, ham you can eat later, right? Ham is fine. Like, I got ham in the fridge here. I'm like, okay, I got TV and the ham. Actually, I got the ham from my cousin's house. We went to my cousin's house on Christmas Eve, and she's like, and I actually had some ham left over. I was like, I'm gonna take this whole like hunk of a ham. For that, I brought this dish called peposo, where it's basically, I don't know if I talked about this last week, but basically peposo is this Tuscan dish, right? Where you take like chuck, like really rough and tough beef, cube it, pan-sear it with garlic, and then you add lots of black pepper, a whole bottle of red wine, and then you braise that sucker for like 6 hours, and then like it's so succulent, and people tore that up. So yeah, that was nice. That was a good weekend of eating. Rusty says, Amy and I are going to try and go out Saturday, but I'm working till 8. Oh, man. After getting home and showering, it will be 10 p.m. Yeah, that's why I was saying earlier, I'll be in Chicago, and the hotel that I'm staying in, turns out they've got outdoor grills. So I called them up, and I was like, hey, man, I saw you on your photos. You have grills outside. There's two like gas grills. Are those available still? And she's like, well, we normally turn them off for the season, but let me check. So she called down to maintenance, and they're like, oh, yeah, we have one of them running that you can use. And I was like, all right, I'm going to be there Saturday. Save that for me. So my plan for New Year's in Chicago is just to chill at the hotel. Maybe they've got a fire pit outside. So I'm going to make a steak, grill a steak, and then cook my meal and get a bottle of champagne and just kind of chill with some cigars and enjoy the night, or maybe go to this cigar lounge that's not too far away. So Russ says he's going to take out, eat at home, and enjoy. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, she leaves for Hawaii Monday already. Gosh, so quickly. And Youngma says he's kind of craving white. You're in. Is there one close to where you live? I know there's a lot in Jersey. I don't know if there's close to where you are, but I mean, the Crave case is definitely the way to go. I totally agree with that. 36 of those. One year, some of my friends, we were all together in New Jersey. I forgot why we were together, maybe for a wedding or something. And like, we're all hanging out. It was like, we all stayed at the same house. I was like, all right, let's go get something to eat. So we went down some part of Jersey, pretty rough part of town. There was this White Castle. Like, we need the case, please. Oh no, Brian says, George, it sounds like he missed an invite. No, so my cigar has gone out. And he thinks that Rusty has planned the perfect evening. I definitely agree with it. Anyone step out the potato? Aligot potatoes, you're welcome. Aligot potatoes. Why am I not familiar with that? Let's have a look here. You know who did a really good potato game was Brian. He's got this oven, and he did the square potatoes, like the kind of like the scallop potatoes, but in like, it did a really great job. I'll just show you the oh, this one. Oh, yes. Wow. Let me go to this one. Here we are. Let's look at this aligot potatoes here. This is from YouTube. How aligot is made in Paris. Oh, that's just music. We don't want that. Wow, how do you do that? What's in that, Rusty? What gives it that texture? Is it that they beat it so much that it gets that gloopy texture? Oh, there it is. George's going to set something up. We definitely should. Pommes aligot. That looks crazy. I have not had that. I think we need to go to Paris. Ah, cheese. Let's see what they say how to make it. Let's see. Chef Studio, 3 minutes. That's good. Look at that thing. Okay, Yukon Gold. Peel. And George tonight is having an Aroa with a vodka martini. Nice. And then Rusty says he's making empanadas for the crew Saturday staff meal. What type of empanadas? Filipino style or Dominican style, or what are you planning? What are you planning? I'm interested to know. Garlic, of course. 5 garlic cloves. Salt the water. Oh, nice. So it gives that flavor into the water to transfer into the potato. That's lovely. Boil till tender. Drain out the water. Push the colander. Oh, nice. Give it that rice effect. Is that too much butter? That's too little butter. Creme fraiche. 350 grams of Gruyere. That's expensive. I'm always shocked at how much Gruyere costs. Every time I buy it, I'm like, oh my gosh. But you have to have a good amount of Gruyere, especially when making soup l'oignon. Stir until melted. Oh. Super simple. Rusty says one is Colombian style and the other has a chicken chorizo filling. Oh, lovely, lovely. Are you going to bake or fry them? Now, I wonder what the difference is between Chef Studio's version and that video we saw from Paris, because this is a little more stringy, right? The other one was a lot more like goopy. What this reminds me of is when I was in Istanbul, they had this ice cream. Making fun of Turkist. Their ice cream, they put some kind of thing in the ice cream in Istanbul that makes it particularly sticky, but also very, very similar in texture to that kind of like, as you can see, it's really thick, and they actually will, when you pull it, it will actually kind of like, kind of get that taffy feeling to it. These guys like to play a lot with where's the other one? There's a better one. Oh, I don't know. Come on, baby. They don't really show it, but I've seen them where they like make it really stringy. Anyway. Rusty says, deep fry for the empanadas. All I can say to that is, muchas gracias, señor. That is the way. Like when I was working in '97 in Tribeca, I was working on a movie there. I was working in the production offices, doing graphic design for them. And the place I was staying was in the Lower East Side. And so I would walk to the Manhattan Bridge from where we were staying, typically walk across the Tribeca. And on the way there was this Dominican bakery that would stop in every morning. And they would get their beef empanada, fried empanadas with sweet Dominican coffee. Oh, man, that was like one of the best things. I would like to go back. And Tony says, Costco usually has Gruyere reasonably priced. Ah, okay, good. Made Gruyere potatoes are gratin for New Year's Christmas Eve. Nice, nice. Does it come with a Lipitor? It probably should. It probably should. And Rusty says, Gruyere is the only cheese to use for French onion soup. I totally agree with you. But you really need to get a lot of it so you can like really pack it in there and then put it in the broiler and like, oh, so nice. Every once in a while, I think about when I'm at Williams-Sonoma about buying a set of those like proper soup l'oignon bowls, the ones that are like a little bit small stemmed and that have the little like florets on it. I always think about buying that, but they're always kind of pricey. So I'm like, oh. Plus, how often am I making soup l'oignon? I should probably make some this winter. All right, so we're getting really down to it. So let's have a look at our scoring. I'm going to say we're still very good, plus. Burn and draw, I'll say very good, plus. Burn has been great. Draw has been great. The only time that it's gone out was when we were doing, when I was talking a lot. Consistency, man, I would say consistency's at 9. Overall, I'm going to say 8.5. All right, so let's have a look at our scoring. Where does this leave us? So we got 7 plus 17, 17, 17, 17.5 plus 8.5 leaves us with 84. Oh wow, 84. That's quite a good score. I need to pull that our little thing up here. And I forgot to right, let's see here. I'm going to say 84 points. Pull our so it ties with the Tatuela Riqueza 2022 special edition and places it at the 9th cigar of the year. So that's pretty much the end of that. So there is our final standings for the year, since this is the last show. And Tony says, no, just have the defibrillator. And Rusty says, don't go to Williams-Sonoma. You can probably find the credential. You're probably right about that. You're definitely right about that. Actually, I'd probably, if I really was serious about it, maybe I would go look at what's the place by Park Avenue upstairs in Manhattan? I know the general manager there now, but I can't think of the name of the place. The professional cook shop. They have all the business cards tacked to the wall. They actually moved to a new location recently, I heard. But there it is. Cigar number 9. And still our number 1 cigar for the year was the Davidoff Year of the Rabbit that we did last month. So yeah, we're going to have to do a recap maybe next episode we'll do recapping. But yeah, good. So the cigar done very nicely. All right, I guess that's going to be it for us today. It's already 10:07. Yes, exactly. JB Prince, exactly. Such a good place. Like what my main set of pots and pans are from JB Prince. There's a French company called Sitram, Sitram, and years ago they were they were a separate company. Now they've been bought out by a larger company. But back then they made a line called the Professory, which were all stainless, induction friendly, really nice quality, and really affordable, like cheap. And some of my chef friends turned me on to it, and so I started buying that, and really great. So the pans that I usually have here are those Professory. Unfortunately, when the new company took over, they changed their lineup, and now the handles on the line that they created to replace it just don't have a nice feel. Like the Professory had this really thick round tube with a hanger on it at the end, really nicely balanced and really comfortable to hold. The newer ones heavier and not so comfortable. So Tony says, Happy New Year, everyone. Party safe. Thank you, man. Happy New Year to all of you. Yeah, exactly. So thanks for tuning in as always. Appreciate you being here on the very last episode of 2022. I'll be in Chicago this weekend, and if you guys are out there, let me know. If not, then I hope you have a great Happy New Year to you all. Rusty also says Happy New Year. Watch out for super drivers, and don't be one of them. Don't drink and drive this weekend. We want to see you next week on the show. You know, George Brightman's been feeling under the weather, which is why we haven't had him on yet. We keep pushing that Paniola Especial show back with George because he's just been under the weather. So hopefully he'll be back. And he'll be back. See you guys. You too, my friend, young man. See you later. Mom, Happy New Year to you as well. Happy New Year to all of you. Thank you very much for tuning in. See you next week, 8 o'clock again on Thursday. We'll be back again here with either the Paniola Special or maybe even we'll do the Lou Liga. Maybe next week we'll do the Lou Liga. We'll see what we're going to do. We're just kind of playing by ear, and I am still working. I still haven't been able to head up to meet up with Raul to talk about the stuff for the show packs for next year, but I will get that done eventually, and we'll be able to do something there. Happy New Year to you too, Stephen, and to George. Great to see you guys. All right. I guess that's going to be it. Thank you very much, and have a great weekend. Have a great New Year and all that, and see you next time.